So here comes the discussion part, and let's take time to understand something that is a little bit philosophical in Buddhism. This is called Nama and Rupa. They are usually put together as Nama Rupa and translated as mentality and materiality. So Nama is for mentality, Rupa is for materiality. And also they translate it as name and form. Nama for name and form for rupa. And this is very much a term that I think, in my understanding, cannot be translated that well into English. So this always sparks discussion, and people have produced scholarly articles on this, and many meditation teachers, many monks go into discussions on trying to explain these to their people. So when you reflect, when you contemplate on the 12 links of dependent origination, these are also called 12 nidanas. Nidana in the sense that there is a varied cause for our experience in the entire cosmos, in the samsara. So these 12 links include nama and rupa, the mentality and materiality. So a different way to translate this is psychophysical nature. So in today's meditation, I included things like feelings. I mentioned pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and neutral feelings, kind of directed your attention towards this. And I also mentioned about perceptions, different images, colors, and shapes and forms. And I also mentioned about different consciousnesses, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, their arising and passing away. This was a little bit a prep work for you, like Namarupa 101, to understand a little bit about the psycho level, the mental level of this experience. So where does the nama rupa comes in the 12 nidanas? For that, I'm going to show you the wheel of the nidanas in this, let's see, found a little wheel that I like to share. So suppose you can see this. I think this is as big as it gets, and you have, so starting from here, you have ignorance, and what is in here in the diamond shape thing is also ignorance. So just ignore all these little things. So read the outer parts. If you count them from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is basically the whole wheel of samsara. When you break what connects all these together, which is the core, the craving, and the wheel breaks, and the continuity also breaks. So you have right here a link named mind and matter. And right before that is consciousness, vinyana. So in Pali it says vinyana pacca nama rupam. The mind and matter is conditioned because of or dependent on consciousness. Because as you become conscious on different things, the Buddha teaches our mental experience and physical experience manifest. So we have avidya, ignorance, and then sankhara as mental formations, vijnana, consciousness, different consciousnesses, nama rupa, mind and matter, salayatana, six senses, phassa, contact, vedana, feelings, tanha, craving, upadana, attachment, bhava, becoming, birth, which is jati, and aging and death, jara, marana, and the whole list, grief, lamentation, despair, and the whole mass of suffering comes to be. And then it continues, producing more ignorance, more mental formations, more consciousnesses, more psychophysical experiences, and therefore the six senses manifest many contacts, many feelings, many cravings, many attachments, many places where you are born. So the birth happens, continuity happens, birth happens, age and die, and this goes up. So right here, what I want you to focus, try to understand how consciousness can manifest a mind-body experience. And mind-body experience together is the result, is, the six senses are manifested because of this, because of mind-body experience. I like you to kind of think about it in your reflections. Let's take it this way. You are conscious on something. As you are conscious on something, immediately some feelings are associated with it. The feelings could be pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. And also you have perceived something. So this could very well be some mental experience, or this could very well be seen or expressed or understood through your eyes, physical, whether it is mental or physical. This mentality and physicality, the materiality is manifested as you are conscious on things. If you were not conscious on anything, it's very hard to be in a place like that. If you are not conscious on anything, there is no way the psychophysical experience together as a unit manifest six sensory experience, and thus contact, and thus feelings. So this is very much a little puzzle that we need to solve. And I think our understanding through a little bit of a reading would help. So I will share a small reading that will help us understand more about this. So, Nama Rupa, this is what we are discussing today. So we can translate it as psychophysical constituents. And in Pali it says Vijnana Pachaya Nama Rupam. So this Nama Rupam with ending at the end becomes some singular sense that although there are these two things, they are together as one unit, one single unit. So this term is used in Buddhism to refer to the constituents of a living being. Nama refers to the mental, while rupa refers to the physical. The Buddhist nama and rupa are mutually dependent and not separable. As nama rupa, they designate an individual being. Nama rupa are also referred to as the five skandhas, five aggregates, the psychophysical organism, mind and matter, and mentality and materiality. All these different ways they have translated. So five skandhas include the five aggregates, aggregation or a collection, a group, things that manifest together. So you have rupa, different forms through your eye, ear, nose. You experience sound forms or um, forms that you perceive through the eye, your taste forms, all these can be forms. Experience with the form, the rupa, the body, and you have feelings aggregate. You have an aggregate of pleasant feelings. If you put together all the pleasant experiences you had in your life, if you put together all the experiences of unpleasant feelings you had, you put together neutral feelings to one unit. And if you put all these heaps together, so you have an aggregate, a huge, um, uncountable number of uh, feelings, and also an aggregate of perceptions, sanya. So sanya arises as you see things, as you hear things, as you think about things, as light arises, you perceive things. And these perceptions, these sanyas arise and cease in our, and they are an aggregate, a skandha. And you also have sankharas, mental formations. This is uncountable, a huge heap of many mental formations, thoughts, past experiences. All these are manifested, and that's a skandha, that is an aggregate, sankharas. And so we also have vijnanas, different consciousnesses, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, I would say consciousnesses, and tongue consciousnesses, the nose consciousnesses. These are sensory experiences, you become conscious on it. So you manifest. And someone asked a question about chitta, mano, and vijnana. Chitta and mano and vijnana, these are like inseparable. They almost refer to the same thing. Mano is like an ayatana, a base. Chitta is where thoughts arise. So in mano ayatana, you have experiences that are called dhammas. So chitta has raga chitta, angry thoughts and lustful thoughts and delusion. So, and then you become conscious on these things. Vijnanas arise. So you have mano vijnana. So 6 classes of vijnana, 6 classes of consciousnesses. Chakku vijnana, sota vijnana, meaning eye consciousness, ear consciousness, all these consciousnesses. Chitta, mano, and vijnana should be carefully understood that they are almost inseparable. In your understanding, you should not confuse or conflict with these. So remember that mano as a base and ayatana, and remember chitta as where thought arise, and vijnana being 6 classes of vijnana. 6 classes of vijnana based on your 6 sense doors. You become conscious on this and that. So vijnana arises. None of these things arise independently, they arise dependent on other things. So for consciousness to arise, for example, for um, nama to, so nama, I would begin with nama, not just consciousness. Nama includes consciousness, it includes feelings, it includes perceptions. So the mental, whatever is mental, these are mental. Feelings are mental, although you feel them physically, but these are noticed mentally. And also you have things that you perceive before the physical action happens. So perceptions, and also becoming conscious on what you feel and what you become, what you note, what you perceive. Then these consciousnesses arise in your experience. So all these are dependent on not arising as a single unit. They depend on each other. So the physical body, thus, psychophysical, I would translate this easily as psychophysical experience, like I did in as I started this discussion. And I will continue my reading here, psychophysical constituents. In the Pali Canon, the Buddha describes Nama Rupa in this manner. So you have English on the left and Pali on the right. And what monks is name and form? Katamancha bhikkhave Nama Rupa. Feeling, perception, intention, contact, and attention. So here's one example where the Buddha adds intention, chetana, and also contact, phassa, and attention, manasikara. Attention is you are directing your focus on something, so you give attention. So you have feelings, vedana, perception, sanya, attention, chetana, contact, phassa, and attention, manasikara. So vedana, chetana, passo, manasikaro. This is called name. Idang uchyati nama. The 4 great elements and the form dependent on the 4 great elements. This is called form. Chattarocha mahabhuta, 4 great elements. Chatunnancha mahabhuta, let me see. Mahabhutanam upadaya rupang idang uchyati rupang. So Chatunnancha Mahabhutanam, of the 4 great elements, Upadaya Rupa. The form dependent on the 4 great elements. Upadaya Rupa is the form that depends, that which depends on the 4 great elements, which is the body. So that is called the form, Rupam. This name and this form are monks called name and form. Iti idancha rupam idang uchyati bhikkhave nama. Idam uchyati bhikkhave nama rupam. So that's how it goes. Iti idancha namang idancha rupam idang uchyati bhikkhave nama rupam. This name and this form amongst are called name and form. So elsewhere in the Pali canon, Nama Rupa is used synonymously with the five aggregates that we discussed earlier. And these are empty of a enduring essential self at the teaching taught in Dhamma, in keeping with the doctrine of anatta, anatman, the absence of an enduring essential self. Nama and Rupa are held to be constantly in a state of flux, with only the continuity of experience, itself a product of dependent origination, providing an experience of any sort of conventional self. We use the word myself, I, me, mine conventionally. And when you look at the five aggregates and their manifestations separately, independent of any other experience, you don't see, you see one conditions the other. You are experiencing the conditional nature. You don't see a self, but this conditioning manifests a self. So Namrupa is the fourth of the 12 Nidanas, preceded by consciousness. So Vijnana Pacha Namarupam, consciousness, and then mentality and materiality or psychophysical experience. That also includes consciousness. And followed by the six sense bases, Salayatana, the six sense bases inseparable from what is discussed before, which is the psychophysical experience. In the Sutta Nipata, one which has earliest teachings of the some of the earliest teachings of the Buddha, including the Metta Sutta that we chant, the Buddha explains to venerable named Ajita how samsaric rebirth ceases. So Venerable Ajita here says, name and form, dear sir, tell me when asked this, where are they brought to a halt? Meaning, where do they end? The Buddha says, the question you have asked, Ajita, I'll answer it for you. Where name and form are brought to a halt without trace with the cessation of consciousness. They are brought to a halt when you have nothing to be conscious on. There is no psychophysical experience manifested. That's how we can put it in the simplest terms. The body-mind is a compound of body and mind and may be used differently in different meditation traditions. These different understandings often inform each other. Whether it is Tibetan tradition or any other tradition, as they focus on the psychophysical experience, they only inform each other. They basically support each other's understandings because there's no any different way to come through this experience. The mind-body problem is a debate concerning the relationship between thought and consciousness in the human mind and the brain as part of the physical body. It is distinct from the question of how mind and body function chemically and psychologically. So you have psychological studies, you have chemical studies, but um, the mind-body problem, the debate, this, it's very distinct from all these chemical-related studies, how hormones work and how psychological experience work. They go to like ADHD and other issues. They discuss about suicidal patterns. As that question presupposes an interactionist account of mind-body relations. So the psychological experience and chemical experience here, they use the word interactionist. If you take it literally, interactionist account, I'm not sure if this has any psychological depth to this term, but interacting is how mind and body relation work, and based on that, they produce some clues, hypotheses. Um, and then it says about a question. We'll see what question it talks about. This question arises when mind and body are considered as distinct based on the premise that the mind and the body are fundamentally different in nature. So basically, what this whole thing is a little bit like a modernistic approach to what we are discussing today. So there is an ongoing debate concerning the relationship between the thought and consciousness in human mind. The way we understand is slightly different from the way other people may understand it. They don't have that same depth, same vocabulary, so they would think that thoughts are manifested independent from consciousness, and they will say um, thoughts are different from consciousness. And then they also separate the body from it. But instead, in Buddhism, it seems like the whole body, whole physical experience, and the mental experience are linked together and understood together. So, if any psychological study or any study on chemicals or any study on physical nature support this kind of understanding, that's very close to what the Buddha has taught. So that's for today, and this link leads us to some discussion on people asking questions on uh, what nama rupa is. I would invite you to go in there and read that discussion, lengthy discussion, headed, responded by Ajahn Sujato. So before we finish for today, any questions?
Bante, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Regarding the Nama Rupa, I basically get it as the Nama is the five aggregates and the Rupa is the forms. Like everything, any forms happened due to the four elements. And then the five aggregates, it comes like the feeling, perception, thoughts, and the consciousness. And the nama is the forms, and altogether five aggregates. And again,
Let me stop you there. Nama is never the physical form in any place
yeah,
that we read. So let's take Nama as
forms.
no, Nama as naming experience, the psychological experience,
Okay.
the mentality, and Rupa.
The rupa is the forms. The nama is the. I'm sorry. The rupa is the any forms with the four elements, and the nama is the nama is the feelings, perceptions,
Right.
the thoughts, and the consciousness.
Yes.
And then in now that is in other one way, and another way it says that nama is feelings, perceptions, and chetana is like thoughts, and the sparsha is contact, and again manasikara, that is the attention.
Yeah.
So how that there are another five of them, that is nama, and the rupa is the four elements. So and two different explanations, like rupa is rupa, the forms, the four elements, that is right. But the nama, actually I'm talking about the nama. One is the feelings, perceptions, thoughts, and the consciousness. That is one way. The other way is feelings, perceptions, thoughts, and the contacts and the attention. I just want to just get differentiate how how you can differentiate those things. The
It's,
same thing, but two different ways of
it's a great question. Someone may ask why we have different numbers when it comes to nama, the mentality, psycho experience. The reason being the diversity adds beauty in the world. It's like that. Even in Dhamma, you can simply, see Dhamma in small numbers or big numbers, only because the Dhamma has a nature of developing from one stage to another. The whole discussion about Nama Rupa also has gone under a whole series of changes. There's a pre-Buddhist discussion on mentality and materiality. There's Buddhist discussion on it. Now the current psychological experience on it and their discussions. So, and in Buddhism, your question is directed at different, just the different numbers within Nama itself. And so, at first, you can say that the Buddha taught just three, and then people asked, why not formations included in it? Why not just the attention, manasikara, not included in it? And it's very clear that there's no question that they too belong in there. These were also included into the discussion. But elsewhere, you can see that it's just perceptions, feelings, and consciousness being nama. And then any forms or just the four element, and the forms manifested through these, the sensory experience can be form. And then when it comes to the other discussion, like we read today, you see Nama has the other two added. And if you see that Sankara, the Chetana, uh, are also being used in different places. In some places for Sankaras, it says Chetana. So in some places for Sankaras, it says just Sankara instead of saying, Chetana. So what the basic question here is the cessation experience. In the cessation experience, all these things cease to exist. And that means mental formations cease to exist. And therefore, to highlight that, you can say that Chetanas were included or Sankaras were included. And such is attention, Manasikara. This also ceases. So all these teachings are directed towards Nirodha, cessation experience. And when you look at the cessation experience, these things exist in mental level and they do not exist at the cessation. Altogether, they cease to exist. They come to a halt, and thus there is no more becoming or no more manifestation of psychophysical experience. So that is my response to your question. You have clarification.
Thank you, Hamadurani.
You are welcome. So, shall we end for the day? You do have questions? What I want you to think about is this cycle here. Think about these three, how mental formations, sankharas, or chetanas manifest consciousness, or how just sankharas manifest consciousness, and how that manifests the unity here called mind and matter together. And that think about whether it is um, astral mind or astral body. It's to be understood, and then how six senses manifested, and how when this is ceased to exist, how this can cease, and how when mental formation cease, how consciousness cease, how when consciousness cease, how mind and matter experience no more exist, and then how six senses disappear, and how then contact disappear, how the wheel is broken. This will be a you know meditation object for you, and you will be happy to see how many things you will discover. Okay, so happy meditation. Thank you for joining this evening, and see you with another event. And our Katina ceremony is being held this week on Saturday and Sunday. We have sent from the temple, we have sent the invitations for you to join via Zoom. We have limited participation for just 25 people. And with the monks and those three families who made the invitation for Rain's retreat for monks, it just basically gets filled up. So please join those events online. And that is an announcement. Other than that, we have our Dhamma school happening bi-weekly, and your children can join. And the links are also being sent via the. Okay, take care. Have a great week and happy elections.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bente.
Thank